Rendezvous with French Cinema is an annual festival organized by the programmers at the Film Society at Lincoln Center. And since French films are such an important part of the programming mix, we decided to spend some time in the Big Apple talking to filmmakers. We were able to sit down in the lobby of the fabled Film Forum Theater with filmmaker Louise Courvoisier to talk about her new film, Holy Cow, her Cesar-award-winning debut feature. After winning a prize at the 2019 Cannes Film Festival for her short film, MANO A MANO, Courvoisier returned to the Jura region in France where she grew up and started working on a story about the hardscrabble lives of the people who make the region's renowned Comte cheese. Using non-professional actors, Courvoisier's film is a beautiful and moving look at the lives of those who work in close contact with nature to create the produce which ends up in fancy shops and restaurants around the world. You won't want to miss Holy Cow when it comes to your local art house, and you don't want to miss our conversation with the film's creator, starting now on Inside the Art House.
Hi, my name is Greg Lemley.
And I'm Raphael Sparch.
And welcome to another episode of Inside the Art House. We're here in New York City for a rendezvous at the Film Forum in downtown, where a new film by Louise Courvoisier, our guest, is going to be opening. It's the film Holy Cow. It's opening in New York on March 28th, and then in Los Angeles and around the rest of the country on April 4th. So thank you for joining us, Louise.
Welcome to New York. Yeah.
Thank you.
So the film fits into a tradition of neorealism, dating back to when Rossellini would film with non-professional actors. You want to talk a little bit about your connection with that past and cinema history?
Yeah, I'm not really. I didn't have a lot of inspiration. A lot of people ask me, "What are your inspiration?" I think it's a mix of a lot of things, more contemporary, more old, but sometimes, actually I have a lot of American inspirations for this film, because I feel like in France we don't really know how to film the countryside in a very sexy way like you do here in the US.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that we filmed this roughness in the countryside, but with a nice aesthetic, with the light, with the working on an organic way of filming. But then I really needed something very authentic, something very realistic about the characters, like the people I was talking about, since I was really inspired by my childhood.
And you grew up there?
Yeah, I grew up there. I really wanted to talk about these people that I know very well and that the rest of the country, even in France, really don't really know. So we have a different accent, a lot of things are very different. And so I wanted to put the light on these people, and for that I needed the casting to come from there. So that's how I had the idea of doing this non-professional cast, which was a really crazy idea, but
but the faces, and it would be very hard to find an actor to act that, right?
Impossible.
You could try.
Yeah.
But he's
an actor, so he's never going to say it too much.
It wouldn't feel like it does.
Yeah.
Just the roughness.
Yeah.
How did you work with non-professional actors? How did you? First of all, how did you cast them?
Yeah, it was a long casting process. Actually, that was the most important part, because I wrote for 3 years the film, and then I tried to find my characters, but I wrote thinking about real people, so I knew I was gonna find them in real life, but it was a long process because they didn't want to do cinema. It's not in their life. They're farmers for most of them, so I really needed to convince them to do a casting with me and maybe it was a hard process. And then like the main actor, Clément, when I came to him, I knew that he had some energy that was really close to the character, because he was kind of the leader of his group, but still a very thin, very nervous guy.
Wiry.
Something very...
Yeah.
So I liked the energy. So I went to him and I said, "Do you want to do a casting with me?" And he said, No, I'm not interested. Not at all. So I said, "Okay, maybe you can think about it. Talk about the project to your friends and stuff, and if you change your mind, I'm here." So he changed his mind. We met, but he wasn't sure. He said maybe one or 2 days as an extra or something. I was okay, maybe think about it. We did a lot of casting together, and in the end he said, "Okay, maybe why not? Like, he was like, why not? So it was a lot of those kind of meetings and stuff, and I had to adapt to them and to their personality. And like, I watch him move, I watch him talk, and I said, okay, maybe my scene is not very accurate. I have to rewrite it for him. I did the same for all the characters. And actually, I was this precise also with all the extras, the small parts. Everybody in the film is very, very specifically chose
From the place.
From the place,
Yeah.
and I really needed everyone to be very real, like really
Natural, real,
natural. Yeah. So I worked a lot rehearsing with all the parts, everyone.
What's great about the actors, and particularly, the man who's, plays Toton, forgive me, is how unself-conscious he is, right?
Yeah.
He's just so himself.
Yeah.
Like, there's no sense of how am I doing, or
Yeah.
he's just raw.
Yeah, and that's what I really liked with shooting with non-professional actors, is that they never wanted to please me, ever. They were really themselves. And the fact that they didn't, because with an actor, you have this thing that they want to make you happy. So they try, and you say maybe more. So they're really more active. And these guys, not at all. They're really just doing the minimum. And actually, the minimum is sometimes what you look for, because in real life, it's how it is.
Right.
There's something more rough, more simple, more true when they don't try. So you never see them trying. And I think this is what's really accurate in those kind of parts. It's that you want to find this roughness.
Now, the film is set in the Jura region.
Yeah.
You grew up there as well. Did the fact that you grew up and really knew same accent, everything, could another director have come in, parachuted in from somewhere else and made the same film, or was that connection really important?
I think it was very important for them to trust me, because it's a very wild area. Like, people are not so interested in it. Like, it's better to know their language in a way. So it really helped me to be from the area. I think I gained a lot of trust, and people from the area also very much participated in the process of shooting. Also, the farmers and stuff were really involved in the process. So I think.
But they become your crew as well?
Yeah.
Sweet. And I guess because you grew up, they were probably excited to help.
Yeah, of course. And then when we did the screenings at the end, everybody was there, and the families. And
oh my God.
So yeah, it was really exciting, yeah. Exciting, because I knew that I wanted to do this film about the people from this area, and with them, not just about them, but taking them with me in the process was really important for me.
So at the center of the film is making this extraordinary cheese, Comte. As we go through it, you really kind of get a sense of what's involved and how complex it is. Was the cheese the inspiration, or how did you find a way? You worked on it for 3 years. What was your way in, I guess?
Actually, I thought it was interesting to put the plot of the film really inside the territory also, because where I'm from, everybody lives from cheese, because it's a big thing there, the Comte cheese, and it's a very small area. You cannot do Comte cheese somewhere else. It's a very restricted area.
Like Champagne, right? Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting to really put this in light too, to really tell about a place the whole way, and also in the plot, in the adventure of the film, to really try to put it in. So it was from the beginning, but then I didn't know how I was gonna manage to film cheese, because it's never been done, or I don't know about it.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a little thing. Cheese is a little static.
I'm gonna have to research my
it's very
cheese
hard.
movies.
Yeah. So it was very hard. So I did a lot of research. I had we call it a coach, like a cheese coach, that really helped us doing the writing and then doing the shooting. He was there for all the cheese making scene.
Just to keep it authentic.
Yeah, to keep it authentic, and to know how to do, because we really did real cheese, because usually you fake it in the cinema.
Right.
But for these scenes, especially one scene when he's with his little sister and they're making cheese together, nothing happens in the scene. It's only them together concentrating. There's no music, no dialogue. So something had to really happen in the scenes so that we could feel it, So we decided to make real cheese. So he could not miss. He had to really learn and practice the actor.
And was that his first time making the cheese?
So
sort of,
we rehearsed a bit before, so he did some cheese.
But it's not
before.
something he does in
No, he's in the chicken industry.
Okay.
So
He's a chicken expert, right?
We were seeing it happen.
So it was nice actually to do this. It's like the calving scene in the film with when the cow.
When the cow is born. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this scene was also
Real.
So we had some scenes where we were almost shooting like a documentary. We had to change all the way of shooting to make it happen. And I like when these kind of things. It's also interesting. Yeah.
I saw somewhere in the press notes a mention about how the film, you sort of see the film as a Western.
Yeah.
We talked about some following American forms. Was that really?
It's something. It's not. Maybe
it's not a direct Western.
It's not a direct Western, but it's more like maybe in the aesthetics, the way of trying to sublime the roughness, like we talked about earlier. It's more like
it's a violent world. There's a
violent world, and it's still something beautiful about it. And it's how these also these faces that are lived more than people from the city. Something is different on their on their physicality and how to really put this in sublime. This in a way with the light also we use a lot of natural light, but trying to, and we use this how do you say the
scope.
Yeah, the scope,
the width of the picture.
Right.
Right.
So all these things are
so people placed in nature, which is certainly the best Westerns, I guess.
And
really
also the music and everything. I had this kind of references in my head. Like I like to have a bit of an American sound. I don't know how to say.
That's interesting. American sound with the music or with
with the music I put in the film. That's Jimmy Rogers, Kisses Sweeter Than Wine.
Yes.
I had a lot of, because I feel like we're too French in France. We have to mix a bit of the references just to...
How has it played in France? How is it? I mean, obviously it played great in the town, but I mean, has it played in Paris? What's the response been in France?
No, it's been actually amazing because usually a first feature is hard. A first feature with non-professional actors, it's like really, really hard.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah.
You need a star to bring people to the screening. So it was very, and about cheese, even harder. So it was a hard film to distribute, but we had like a miracle about this film. He went out in Cannes. So the first screening was in Cannes. Mm-hmm. It really worked very well. We had a prize, and then we had a lot of good critics and stuff, but it doesn't, usually you have good critics, but you don't have the crowd coming. It's two separate things.
Right. Either you're rarefied, but no one comes to see it. Right. Yeah.
But in this film, we had this miracle that the both were really, like we had 1 million people coming to see the film. So it's a lot. In France, it's really like a big success. It's a popular success, and it's a critic success. So it was unexpected for everybody. Like nobody would have ever imagined the movie to have so much success. So it was great for me. It was hard to imagine that the film that talks about these people was just then for cinephiles to go see it. I really wanted people from the film to be invited to see it. I really wanted something generous, something accessible for them too. So I was happy that the film worked in a more popular way.
Yeah, I mean, cheese and food is a religion in France, right? So you're speaking about something close to everyone's heart.
And close, maybe more true for people also, like the farmers and stuff, they felt represented. And it's not that often that it happens in a light movie, because usually when films are about farmers, it's always about suicide, it's always very dark and it's very depressing. It's also very important to talk about it, but this film, even if it's hard, it's also very bright. People go out and feel happy about it. Mm-hmm. So it's something but new in France.
It has some exuberance to it.
Yeah.
Well, look, there's challenges in Tonton's life, in your lead character's life, and there's certainly some guilt. Not heavy, but there's redemption, yes, and that's maybe another theme of Westerns, and love.
And love, of course.
I know you talk, again, in your notes about, because you know the town, because you know the people, but how did documentary play into this for you, or how did thinking as a documentary filmmaker?
Actually, it was very far from a documentary because it was very written. Like a lot of people ask, did you improvise with the actors and stuff? Not very much, like almost nothing was improvised. We rehearsed a lot. I changed a lot of things for them, but it was very prepared. The two scenes I was talking about with the calf being boring
right.
and with the cheese are more like documentary scenes. And my cinematographer, he did a lot of documentaries before. So we weren't scared of doing a scene more documentary and then a scene more fiction and going back and forth. And that's not very usual. So that's more in that way. Sometimes we weren't scared of changing our way of filming.
I was saying, like the open of the film, it has a very kind of a rough.
Yeah, but actually the first scene of the film, we redid everything. Like a lot of people think we went in the real
Into a fair. Yeah.
and actually it was all
staged.
All staged, yeah.
Yeah. It plays with an immediacy, and like you're capturing something for the first time.
And it had to be actually very choreographed and very precise, the timing, because it's
because of
one
the
shot.
And everything. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So this is your first feature. Did you go to film school? How did you sort of become I mean, you were a farmer, obviously you were living in this area, sort of in a farming community, and then you became a filmmaker. What was that process?
Yeah, my parents are musicians in the beginning, and then they became farmers, so I really had a foot in both. I decided to do cinema, but it was kind of by chance. It wasn't really a choice at the beginning. And then I went to a film school that's called La Ciné-Fabrique, where I studied script writing. And there I did a lot of movies, also directing, a lot of short movies, and I felt really good about it. I felt really good with the actors, with directing. It came actually naturally to direct films, and my short film that I did at the end of my school really worked well, had a first prize in Cannes, and then had a whole tour. I could really quick do my first feature. I'm a young director, it's kind of rare to do your first feature at 30 like me.
Yeah, very rare. And to get the financing, etc.
Yeah, it's hard to finance, but I had the luck of the short film that really worked and helped me to find producers and stuff.
What were some of the films that inspired you to become a filmmaker?
No, it's a good question, because I think one of my big revelation when I studied was Altman, Robert Altman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like all the 70s, like the American 70s, it's a period I really like in cinema. But then you change, and then your reference change, and you don't, so it's been a lot of different things. Like some of the English directors, to Ken Loach is one of the directors I really like, and also very
works with a lot of non-professionals.
Yeah,
and immerses himself in communities.
Yeah, so it's but not a lot of French references. Now more, some of the Justine Trier's films and stuff I really like, because my mother is also and she speaks. Yeah, she lived in the States for a long time, so we had this more American culture when we were growing up. So not so much of a French culture. So that's why the Western was in my
in your head. And as it turns out, your whole family worked on this film as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your parents helped score it, I guess. And...
No, so my sister and my brother did the set design.
Right.
My other brother and my mother did the music, with my father also playing the violin in the music. But they were really involved in the whole process from the beginning to the end. So we work in family all the time. It's something that really reassures me, and we're more powerful. Like we're like a big, I don't know. It feels more safe and more powerful when we're all together. It's more like a collective,
like a farming community.
Yeah, something like that.
Everyone
like in
jumps
the film,
in. Yeah. So does this sort of set the stage then for the next film?
I don't know where and I don't know what I'm gonna do for the next film.
Yeah.
But it could be. I think I'm gonna stay in the same area, because that's something. But doing something very different, but in the same area.
Yeah.
And also with my family, because that's the way I'm doing it.
And with the success of this, I'm sure there's got a lot of enthusiasm to keep doing that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a lot of pressure too, because this one worked. So now I'm scared of doing the next one.
The sophomore jinx.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
No, the being able to corral non-actors and write about something that obviously is sort of both precious and remarkable, that is the making of cheese, and then be able to kind of humanize it, and then kind of create this kind of coming-of-age redemption story, and be able to sort of really kind of leave us with this sort of sense of kind of uplift, and yet it's tough. I mean, they live hard lives. Yeah. You've been able to do that, and in a way that doesn't pull punches, and is willing to kind of just be raw about it. And that's a unique sort of gift to be able to bring that. And again, that's because of your intimacy to the place.
But I think it's because I observed a lot of the people that I grew up with. I observed a lot, and I observed of the toughness, the hard lives, and it's true, it exists. And I even was maybe less violent about it in the film. That it's in the real life, it's harder. But there is also a lot of light, and sometimes we are in the films. It's like you have to choose if you want to do a comedy or a drama, and you can never bring both in a film. Like we always have, maybe more in France, but this culture of you have to choose. If you tell something hard, just stay in the drama. If you tell something bright, just stay in the comedy, and you never mix both.
Right.
And I think in real life, that's what's interesting. It's all the nuances and how you have a lot of brightness in the hard times and the other way around. And I really wanted the film to be nuanced and to be really complex, have complex characters, and also to talk about this roughness of the characters that I really observed in real life when the father dies in the film.
Yeah.
It's hard. And in the film, usually, you would talk about it the whole time and being about it. But in real life, what I've experienced, it's sometimes you don't have the keys to confront the accident. So you keep it inside, and it comes out at another moment in your life and in another way. And it's more interesting for me to tell that maybe with a romance story, he's gonna fall down, but when his father dies, he's gonna keep something very rough. And that's real life too. Like sometimes you don't fall apart when it's hard, you fall apart when your girlfriend says it's over. And that's interesting, because your fragile parts are not always where you expect them to be. Yeah.
Right. These are not people that go to therapy and
No, never. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They never talk about their feelings. They never go to therapy. And I think it's interesting to talk about that. We never talk about that.
The actor who plays Tom, is he going to continue acting? Does he want to sort of?
Actually,
has he been bit by the bug?
A bit, but no. But he likes his chicken farm. He's very into farming. He loves what he does, and so I think if people want him to play, maybe he's curious. Maybe he's going to do it, but people are really going to have to go and grab him. He's not going to go.
He's not moving to Paris and getting an agent.
He's not moving to Paris. If you want him, you're going to have to fight for him.
Yeah.
But he's curious. But the girl who plays Marie-Lise, she's more curious, I think. She's also a farmer, but I think she's going to try to be an actress too and see how it goes. Because she just won the César, it's like the French Oscars. She won one for the film. Actually, he could have won one, but he didn't want to go. He refused to go to our French Oscars, like the César. He said, no, I'm not interested, no, thank you. So he didn't get it because he said no, but she got it. So maybe it's going to help her to
launch a career.
Yeah.
Let's look at a scene. We'll take a quick look at a scene of the two of them when they sort of first meet.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, t'es une branlée, l'étrangère, à ce qui paraît. Ah, tu vas t'en remettre. Qu'est-ce que tu fous? Tu sais pas visser un embout?
Bah si, je sais.
Bah vas-y, fais voir. Ah, good! Oh. T'es pas doué, toi, hein?
So in this scene, Toton is having to step up and become an adult, and he's having a hard time, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Did you have to teach him how to screw up when he's putting the thing on, or did that come naturally to him?
Actually, it was funny because my brother, like my sister did the set design and my brother was doing all the constructions and finding all the ways to, so he found the way of screwing it up because it wasn't so difficult to do. So
Hard to do,
he found a way to. But it was funny because nobody expected, it was the first take because to have the surprise and stuff. I like the...
Oh, it almost caught them unaware that this was going to happen.
Yeah, it was kind of a surprise that it was that much. We were all...
And the fact that she, screams out the film's title, Vendredi.
Yeah.
Can you explain
Was that scripted, or that came naturally to her as well?
It came naturally because they say it all the time. That's why it's the title too, because I had to calm them for some, because they use it so much, and it's an expression that we use really in this area more. It's a French expression, Vendredi. It's literally 20 gods. It's kind of the blasphemy to say there's 20 gods, but there's one. So it's a very old expressions that people continue to use, but more in the countryside. It's a very, very rural thing to say vendieu. So yeah, I used it as, but it was hard to translate because it's really something very specific.
It's very specific,
very
right?
French.
Yeah.
Holy cow was maybe the more equivalent, but it's more polite, I think, holy cow, than vendieu. Vendieu is less polite.
Right.
More like, oh shit.
Yeah, more like shit. Yeah.
They're too kind to say merde.
Yeah.
So what is the plan for its opening in the States?
Plan.
Yeah, when is it opening, and how is it rolling out? Do you know?
Okay, I need to know the exact
Consult the people.
So the film is opening March 28 here in New York City, right at this theater, and then coming to Los Angeles. I guess you're not coming back, sadly, for the screenings.
No, I wish I would come back, but I think it's gonna be a bit hard, yeah.
And I guess for information, go to the distributor's website, zeitgeistfilms.com, see when it's coming to your city, and hopefully it's gonna, things are picking up, and there's always interest in French films, and there's always interest in films about food.
Yeah, film about cheese.
That's right.
I mean, look, it's not a film about cheese.
No,
at the end of the day, of course
No.
not. But the cheese making is present, and it's interesting. It fits into a pattern, not pattern, but I mean, I love that it's a film that looks at this gourmet thing that leaves this region, and and all of a sudden people are all over the world, or how do I get the best Comte cheese, and what it's supposed to be paired with, and everything like that. And yet we get to spend some time with the lives of the people who make it, who are very far removed from the world where this product ends up.
Yeah, and I guess it's also funny because now I've traveled a lot with the film, and I realize that it resonates with a lot of different countries. People say, oh, it's like here. I had a guy who said he came from Canada and said, oh, it's like I'm going home to my
Right.
place in Canada.
This is where I make the maple syrup. And, and the maple syrup ends up somewhere else. But, my life is I'm, out in the woods tapping trees and then boiling, getting up at 4 a.m. to make sure the syrup is boiling or something like that.
And also this youth, I think so many people have grown up in this kind of areas really far from everything. And I went to South Korea, and a lot of people said, oh, it makes me think of the place I grew up with, the small village and stuff. So it has this universal, unexpected thing. It's very nice.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. Well, I'm excited for it to come to New York and to Los Angeles as well. So,
and art houses around the country, absolutely.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for talking about this. And I'm so excited for it to hit the airwaves here in the States.
Thank you. It was very nice.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing. We look forward to seeing you next time on Inside the Art House.
Thanks, Louise.
Thank you.
Our show was produced by Raphael Sparge with on-site producer Noreen Dickerson. Supervising producers are Miles McCreary and Thomas Cassetta. Our show was edited by Gabriel Lemley and mixed by Thomas Cassetta. Our musical theme was composed by Isabel Engman and Gerardo Garcia Jr. Marketing by Gabriel Lemley. Show graphics by Jenna DeAngelis, and show open edited by Rick Pratt. Filmed at the historic Lemley Royal Theater in Los Angeles, California. See you next time on Inside the Art House. If you like today's show, please consider subscribing to our channel to hear more on Inside the Art House.